So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. So, we are now heading to our final panel discussion for EDEX 2026 with our main exhibition. So, I would like to invite our distinguished panel to the stage. Mr. Gamindu Hemachandra, Dr. Hasuli Perera, and Dr. Chaturra Varnasurya. Thank you very much. Right. Good afternoon, everyone, again. So, EDEX Expert Symposium 2026. This will be the final panel discussion for the day. And without taking much time, I will go through the topic which we are discussing today. It is, what should you consider when choosing your higher education pathway? This is with a truly collaboration with Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology, which is a trusted education partner in Sri Lanka, who has joined with EDEX for a long time. So we are glad to and we warmly welcome you all to the panel discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, many students and parents feel confused with many choices today. It will be local degrees, foreign universities, online programs, vocational programs, and this list keeps growing. But the key is not the number of options, it is the right match. So I truly believe Asia Pacific Institute of Technology is with us today to direct you for this journey. So without taking much time, I will introduce our distinguished guest for the panel discussion. We have Mr. Gamindu Hemachandra. He is the Executive Director, Chief Academic Officer of APIIT. Gamindu has 22 years of experience in higher education, which includes over 14 years of teaching experience in software engineering, software design, and software architecture. He has headed the School of Computing at APIIT and was the Deputy Director of the Local Technical Secretariat of APIIT and IRQUE, a project by the World Bank. The chair of the Academic Staff Development Committee at APIIT, and he is the head of Academic Development and Quality Enhancement of APIIT. We warmly welcome you, sir. And we have Dr. Hasuli Perera. Dr. Hasuli Perera is the head of Business School and School of Foundation Studies at APIIT, Sri Lanka, and a senior lecturer. Dr. Hasuli holds a PhD in Organizational Behavior from Monash University. With over a decade of teaching and experience and several publications to her name, she leads the academic operation of APIIT Business School and School of Foundation Studies. She also serves as a director of Dang Kotua Persilian PLC. We all warmly welcome Doctor. And we have our final guest for the day, Dr. Chaturra Varnasurya. He is the head of law school, senior lecturer, and an award coordinator. Dr. Chaturra Varnasurya holds a PhD in law from Brunel University, London, and an LLM in international trade law from the University of Wales, Cardiff Institute. Whilst practicing in all areas of general commercial litigation, Dr. Varnasurya has worked as an associate at Global Solicitors, Wembley in the United Kingdom. He possesses experience in international business and commercial negotiations across various European countries. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our distinguished panel for the final discussion today. So this panel discussion will be based on 4 areas. First area will be self-assessment and personal goals. And on this area, we will be focusing on understanding yourself before choosing a pathway. And second area of the discussion will be based on types of higher education pathways available, and key area of this discussion will be knowing the options before deciding. And third area of the panel discussion will be academic fit and program quality. And the key area of the discussion area will be choosing the right program, not just the institute. And the final area of the panel discussion will be career outcomes and employability. And key area will be education as a bridge to employment. I think this will be a very interesting panel discussion where we have the shared purposes as EDEX as well as APIIT. So let's start with the discussion. So I would like to have the first round, the question with Mr. Gamindu. Mr. Gamindu, most students struggle to identify what they are good at and what they enjoy, right? So how should a student realistically assess whether they are better suited for fields like IT, business law, or something entirely different? I think you should have a massive experience over the decades in the education industry. So we would like to know from you. Yeah.
Thank you. I guess in Sri Lanka there's more or less your pathways get chosen according to what you do for your A-levels, maybe. That's probably the reality of it. I mean, sometimes students choose, I think there's still a choice, a main choice between a mathematics, biology, commerce, art streams. I mean, there are differentiations or differentiations within those, but by and large, I think students do that. The pathway is set. And I think, I mean, it's very, very difficult to kind of go against that grain. But maybe higher education can be thought of differently. I mean, what you're good at in the past is not necessarily an indicator of what you could be good at. It's an opportunity to think afresh. And higher education does provide a lot of different options. So how do you know that you're good enough for a particular field? I think the question should be more like, you know, having gone through 16, 17 years of life and learning, maybe the question is, you know, in the next couple of years, what would I enjoy exploring? Because your higher education journey is not going to end with just one degree. So it's an opportunity, I think, okay, I've studied in school. I have an opinion on what I'm good at, you know, what I find tough, what I think I would love. Well, you know, the 3 to 4 years in higher education should be, let me just explore something exciting. And that something exciting could be inspired by, you know, the first jobs that you'd want to get into. That's fine. But I think it has to be, you know, the key thing is it has to come from within you and not from the likes, dislikes, wants of your parents or your teachers. That's tough. What would you like to do? So, so I think it's not about assessing how good you are at things. It's about asking the question, you know, what would I be happy in the next 2 to 3 years exploring? Because I think after those 2 to 3 years, your learning journey would anyway continue, whether you would like it or not. And there'll be plenty of opportunity to learn from that first few years, change direction. There'll be plenty of time to do that. So I know that's probably not conventional, but you know, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, correct. So, Dr. Hasuli, I would like to hear from you. From a business education perspective, is passion and interest enough, or should students consider other factors like personal traits, work style, risk appetite? What do you really think?
First of all, I definitely think passion and interest are a starting point. You do have to have passion. that's also what is going to help you stay motivated when things get challenging. So passion is extremely important, and so is interest. But I guess over the long term, students may have to consider actually other aspects, which requires a little bit of self-awareness. So you do need to think about, whether you are someone who likes structure, and whether you like, a routine kind of work environment. Because if that's the case, then you might be cut out for maybe careers in accounting or finance, where there is a little more predictability than others. But, if you're someone who thrives in, you're okay with ambiguity, you can work in uncertain environments, you like trying out things, you like experimentation, then there are other areas in business like, marketing and innovation that might work for you. So, yes, apart from passion and interest, you do also need to kind of look at what your personality is. You also may want to consider your risk appetite. Are you someone who likes to take risks? You like working in environments that are risky, where you have to make a lot of decisions in uncertain environments? Or do you prefer environments that are less risky? So those are also things that you might need to consider. And your style in general. You might know that, sometimes you're really good with people. You're really good with communicating, negotiating, persuading people, influencing people. So you might have a lot of people skills, which others may not have. Some might be quite introverted, but they might be good with numbers. They might like working with data. They might like to, get into analysis. So there are then different things in business that you can do depending on, your style. So passion, yes, and interest, they are the spark. But ultimately, you also have to have a lot of self-awareness. And that's what a good degree will also tell you. It will not just give you knowledge, but it should also help you dig deeper into yourself and help you explore your passion, strengths, your personality, your style, and that will really help you figure out what career pathway you might want to take, because business has a lot of diverse career options. You can end up doing so many things. So it's very important, if you choose business as a degree, to figure out who you are.
Yeah, so Dr. Hasuli, very interesting. Thank you very much for your insight. So turning to Dr. Chatura. Dr. Chatura, law generally talks about strong ideas, justice, advocacy, and debate, right? So what personal traits or motivations do you believe make a student genuinely suited for a legal education? I think you are the right person to answer this. So we would love to hear from you.
Thank you. I also concur what Dr. Hasuli said. It is applicable to law degrees as well. But I like to give one single answer for this, but I don't have one. What I believe is passion also very important. Whatever you do in your life, you need to have passion. Otherwise, you don't enjoy what you are doing, and then sometimes you get fed up and you will give up. So therefore, passion is very important. But when it comes to law, there's something other than more than that as well. For example, we are helping people. For example, there may be a person who has been a victim of a crime, and he doesn't have any other means of help. So you are helping them. And there may be a divorce case or child custody case where people really need a support of a lawyer. So when you do things as a lawyer, or when you help people as a lawyer, you get immense satisfaction. So therefore, passion is also very important. And also you have to do what you love to do in your life, which gives you self-satisfaction. Second thing is dedication, because law is so much reading and meeting people, advising people, and staying in the court for long hours, getting blamed by judges, getting criticized by your opposing counsel. There are so many things that you have to bear as a lawyer. So therefore, you have to have commitment, dedications, and also resilient to sustain in this particular profession. So if anybody wants to follow a law degree and wants to be a lawyer, what my advice is, first, understand what you really want to do in your life. If you think that you have passion to learn and dedicate yourself and also to help people, this is the right profession. This is my advice. And even though I say that this is something that you have to read a lot and you have to do many things and arguments and other things, there are things that you can enjoy in law as well, right? Because there's a myth in the society that you have to be, you need to have very good oratory skills to be a lawyer. There's no such thing. You can be a very successful lawyer with limited oratory skills as well. So therefore, if you think that I'm not good at talking and I don't have that ability to interact with people, still you have a room, still you have an opportunity to be successful in legal profession as well.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Chatura. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, we are going to the section 2 of the panel discussion, which is types of higher education and pathways. So, just to remind you, at the moment we have a considerable online audience as well, who have engaged with this panel discussion. So, I will start with Mr. Gamindu. Mr. Gamindu, how have pathway options evolved beyond the traditional university or nothing mindset, right? So we now see dual degrees, foundation programs, articulation routes, online degrees, mocks, micro-credentials. But how can a student compare this? There is a bit of a confusion. So we would like to hear from you.
Yes, there are a lot of options out there, and it can be quite confusing. So, I mean, again, broadly speaking, post-secondary education is higher education, that is degrees, vocational education, which is more hands-on practice, and maybe professional qualifications. And within degrees, you do have state universities, private, local degree providers, as well as transnational education providers. So there is quite an option. I guess the first decision you could make is, what kind of, the next stage of your life, what kind of education are you, what would inspire you the most? Generally, a degree-level education would give you a more holistic view of the world and skills. Vocational educations will give you very narrow, but you will probably go into the nitty-gritties and be quite highly skilled. Professional qualifications would allow you the option to work and study at the same time. So these are things that you could consider. Again, you should leave maybe your options open. Say higher education in the next 5 years or so will move towards students starting their education in one institution and maybe moving across institutions and even countries. So maybe you need to take a look at, how easy is it for me to move from the degree that I've enrolled in and completing at the institution of your enrollment while it remains, a possibility. Can you transfer credit and go abroad maybe? Look at that possibility. If you do a base 1 year in a certain discipline, is there an opportunity to transfer into another discipline? These are possibly things to look at. So there are, like you said, micro-credentials, MOOCs, online degrees. So again, this part of your life is a very unique part of your life where you get to explore, get to learn intensely. So you should, home in on an option that allows you to do so. See, if you go for an online degree, you should be aware that you must be self-motivated. You probably don't come into face-to-face contact with a lot of other students, with all, the benefits that will bring. But it does allow you to say work. It allows you to have very, very flexible work hours. Now, does that work for you? So you need to evaluate whether it's worthwhile. Micro-credentials are important. Micro-credentials, though, might be things that you could acquire while you're on a more solid higher education pathway, like a degree qualification or a vocational qualification or a professional qualification. Doesn't close the door. So, so those are a few thoughts. Again, what you should consider is, what is the kind of education journey you'd like? How intense should it be? Are you sure that this degree program will give you not just knowledge, but opportunity to connect with industry, with community? Because that will be what matters. I mean, you should look at as authentic a learning experience as possible. So whatever you choose, does it, give you all those touch points with the real world? Or is it just going to be classroom learning? This is something that you could look out for.
Yeah. So, Mr. Gamindu, I think message is very clear to the audience. Thank you very much for your insights. So, moving to Dr. Hasuli. Doctor, we also see the rise of industry-integrated pathways such as internships, mentorships, and work-based learning, right? So, in business education, how important is exposure versus purely academic content? We would love to hear you.
I think it's not just for a business degree, but to anyone pursuing any degree. Exposure to industry early on or during your studies is quite important. I mean, you can't look at exposure as a value addition. It's a must. It's a core requirement. Because I think at the end of the day, what the degree gives you is analytical capability, thinking capability, but exposure builds your professional capability. And something we encourage, so I have around 600 students in the business school, and something that we always tell them is that after the first year itself, we would like them to gain some exposure, and we would like them to work. After the second year, of course, we make internships compulsory. They all have to start working, because that's what's going to set them apart from those who have just completed their degree but have absolutely no work experience. Because when you start working after your degree, you're expected to be productive from, early on in your job, from your career. And something that's going to set you apart from the graduates is the additional competencies that you have built because you have worked and you've got that exposure. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you've done internships, if you've worked a few months, there's so much that you can gain in terms of, building your communication skills, seeing how business decisions are made in uncertain environments, how teams work together, how they collaborate under pressure, how organizations have to kind of balance all these different stakeholder needs. You get to see that firsthand if you're actually exposed to the workplace from the beginning itself. The good thing for a student is that if you start, if work experience is integrated into the degree, the good thing is that, you might have had certain assumptions about a particular job role. You get to test those assumptions. Is it really the case? Does this job really involve these aspects? You get to test it out. You get to see whether you're a good fit. So it's a learning, it's a way for you to learn also about what you are good at and what you would like to do and what you would like to continue doing as well. So apart from that, it's all the professional capabilities that you can build when you gain some work exposure. But it's not a must that you do an internship. There are various ways you can get exposure. You'll also get exposure through a live project that you do as part of your degree. So you're not working 3 months, 4 months, or 6 months. You're actually working on a short-term project for the company. So our students do a consultancy project in their final year. They work with a real organization. They identify an actual problem that their client has, and they try to solve this problem. So they get real first-hand, experience in doing research, consulting for this client, and they know then what's really happening in that particular industry. So it's through projects, it's through exposure to guest talks done by different professionals in industry that students actually find out what's going on in the real world.
Thank you, Dr. Hasuli. So moving to Dr. Chadura. So Dr. Chadura, in the field of law, the pathway can be a bit tricky due to various qualifications, licensing, and practice requirements. What does the student need to know before making a decision actually regarding this from your perspective? Yeah.
Okay. So in a university setup, what we do, we teach basic concepts of law. So you get an undergraduate degree, but that having an undergraduate degree would not make you a lawyer. If you want to be a lawyer, you need to do you need to have professional qualifications. For example, in Sri Lanka, you have to go to Sri Lanka Law College and do law college exams, and then complete the apprenticeship period and become a lawyer in the Supreme Court. In the UK, you have to do either solicitors or barristers exams to be a lawyer, to practice as either solicitor or barrister there. So therefore, there are few other requirements other than having an undergraduate degree. So at the moment, when someone completes their LLB in Sri Lanka with a foreign university like us, or even with government universities, they have to go to Sri Lanka Law College and do the finals at Sri Lanka Law College and complete complete an apprenticeship period and then become lawyers. So this is a must. So for you to have the license to practice in a country, you have to do professional courses as well. Now the unique feature of APIIT is that now for these law college exams also, what we do, we have a program to help our students to get these professional qualifications. That means to face exams in law college, we have a tailor-made course to help our students to face the exam at Sri Lanka Law College. Now, the question that you asked from Dr. Hasuli, I also need to add something. I felt that I want to add something about that as well, because even in the law program, most people think when you say law, it's all about books. It is not. It's not the right thing to say that it's all about books. There are so many things in law programs as well, because we teach our students to develop their oratory skills, analytical skills, and also we take them to courts to visit criminal cases, civil cases. We take them to visit post-mortem inquiries, and we take them to real scene crime scenes, and parliament visits. So we have so many things other than confined to books in the legal law programs as well. And also our assessments, in our LLB program, there are a spectrum of assessments that we use to assess our students. For example, you have to do a poster presentations, you have to have a mock trial, or even write a website blog. So and in addition to traditional methods like assignments and exams. So therefore, it's not only about books. There are so many things that you can enjoy in an LLB program. And finally, that it's of course it's tough these days. That there are so many LLB graduates, and everyone wants to be lawyers, and even the profession also competition is very high. But if you get the proper training, and for you to get the license to practice as a lawyer in Sri Lanka or any other country, it is not such difficult.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Chadura. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, we come to the closing of section 2 of the panel discussion. And next section will be based on academic fit and program quality. So, we'll start with Mr. Gamindu. Mr. Gamindu, when evaluating program quality, what indicators should students and parents look at beyond brochures and ranking? I think this is an area we really need to talk about and we really need to focus. So we would like to hear from you.
Yes, that's a very good question. So you said beyond brochures and rankings. That's very true. Those are probably the first things that will hit you. The world is such that you can actually have a conversation with a university. I encourage all prospective students and parents to have those conversations with the universities, higher education institutions that you're considering. So, the proof is in the pudding of when it comes to higher education. Higher education is supposed to gear young people to be gainfully employed or to go into further education and research. Ask that. Ask how successful this particular university or institution is. Ask about their employability rates. Ask them who their alumni are. Ask them if there are distinguished alumni and where they are. And ask them where last year's graduates ended up. What kind of jobs did they get? Are there any graduates who went on to pursue higher studies in a university? What are those universities? Are there graduates who got research positions in companies, in industry? Where are those? Or what are those? So you could ask those questions of an institution because, the quality of education would be reflected in where your graduates end up. So please do quiz them on that. Next, I guess you could ask them about, again, in this day and age, you can reach faculty members even through an email, or you can ask for an appointment to meet them. Do so. When I went to university, I don't think there was any opportunity for me to find out the kind of teachers I'd had, or maybe I was too lazy to actually do that. But there wasn't much opportunity to speak to a lecturer who would teach me. But I think the world is different now. You could email, you could ask for an appointment, have a discussion with somebody who will actually teach you and make up your own mind whether this is a place that you would be happy at. And ask them the questions of what kind of learning experience you would go through beyond the classroom experience. Please do ask what you would do beyond the classroom. And finally, do have a discussion on how the institution or university would support you in, as Hasuli and Chatura also mentioned, what's their contact with industry? Do you have to wait until the third year to actually do an internship? Do you get to see industry from the first day itself? How often could you network with industry? And also ask them the hard question. So, how is it different? If I were to join your institution, how is this going to be different to any other university? If you are doing computing in this institution, how is it any different to any other computing degree? How is a business degree over here different to any other business degree? Get that from them. It's usually very difficult to scan through, websites, even if you were to use a AI that would summarize things for you. Have the conversations, because I think there are multiple opportunities for you to do that.
Right. So actually, thank you, Mr. Gamindu. It was a well-detailed explanation. I think you cleared a lot of mindset gaps in our audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the difference of APIIT Institute. So thank you very much. And moving to Dr. Hasuli. Doctor, you can find a plenty of business and related degrees in market nowadays, right? So, what differentiates a strong business degree from other options, especially in the Sri Lankan context? Because I think this is also kind of a very, it should be a kind of a focus area. We really need to keep our audience informed. So, we would like to hear from you.
Sure. Praveen, so like you said, the industry is filled with business degrees. I think law has an advantage, but so many institutions, so many universities offering business degrees. How do you find the right one? And I think what Mr. Gamindu said also, why did I say? It actually answers this particular question. But if I were to kind of touch on a few things that anyone who is interested in business can try and go and ask and see how is this business degree different from the others. I think there are three things that students or potential students can look at. One is how relevant is the curriculum. Two is, who's teaching, what's the quality of the, who's in the lecture panel, what's the standard of delivery, that's the second thing. And the third thing, which is actually the most important, which Gamindu mentioned earlier, is the graduate outcomes. So if I just quickly touch on those three, curriculum relevance, I mean, basically if you're doing a business degree, you can't be studying something that happened in the business world about 10 years ago. You have to be studying something that is relevant in today's business world because, I mean, things are changing so fast. So curriculum and the subjects that you study in the particular degree is something that you have to be quite concerned about. You need to see whether the subjects in that particular degree have incorporated new elements like AI, digital transformation, entrepreneurship, sustainability, data-driven decision-making. Are these part of the curriculum? So that's one thing that differentiates a good business degree from the others. The second is academic rigor. How strong is the quality of this program? So there's two things. How does the learning take place? And also the quality of the lecture panel. So, I mean, if it's a degree that assesses your knowledge, your analytical skills through exams, if it's just purely exam based, it's probably not going to do a great job because you need different formats of assessments to really test you, to really test your abilities. So that's the second one. And the third and the most important one is the graduate outcomes. So like Gamindu said, any student who's interested in enrolling for any degree should actually ask, where have your graduates gone on to? Where are your alumni in industry? Are they in good positions, like he mentioned? Because if it is a good business degree, then your alumni have to be very strong and powerful and in good positions. And that will really differentiate a good degree from the others. The other, of course, is you have to look at, whether the degree is awarded by a reputable university and what it's, and if it's a reputable university, then you could be guaranteed that they have good, strong quality assurance procedures as well. So that's something else to look at.
Right.
Could I just add to that, Praveen?
Yeah, sure.
When you mentioned a good university, Hasuli, again, with so many institutions, so many degrees out there, I would ask prospective students and parents also to, see what kind of degree certificate you would get and a transcript. Don't let that be a surprise after 3 or 4 years. It's a very simple question. What's the degree? Can I see a sample of it? Can I see a sample transcript? Go through it. Go through the transcript to see whether you'd be happy with that kind of transcript. Check whether, all the grades for all 3 years have been mentioned. So it's a very simple thing, but this I say because there are a lot of options out there. And this is a very simple check. and it's a must, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Gamindu and Dr. Hasuli. I think it was a very clear-cut reply to our question. So thank you very much. So moving to Dr. Chatura. Doctor, law has a reputation for being theory-heavy, right? It was the norm. Actually, so how do you ensure students also develop the practical skills needed for legal practice?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Of course, you have to refer to many books, and if you come to a law school, go to any law school, you can see a big libraries and big books, and many students who are using the library. And now we have online libraries as well, and even the assessment sometimes exam heavy also. But there are so many things that you have to possess as a successful lawyer. For that, nowadays, any LLB program contains different types of ways to develop students' skills. For example, every law school these days, they have moot court, where we train students to get the real-world experience of a courthouse. Because we take students and we let them argue, and then they argue like they are in the court, and then we make decisions. And so this is a very good exposure for them. In addition to that, even in our LLB program also, we are allowing our students to go and work in the industry while they are studying, because we have some modules that cater students to go and work in the industry. For example, we have something called work experience, where you work with a senior lawyer, and then we have another module that you go and observe what's happening in the court. And also, in addition to that, there are so many things that we have introduced to develop their oratory skills. Because at the end of the day, if you are going to be a lawyer, you are getting paid by clients for talking. If you can't talk, then people will not pay you. So therefore, we'll have to develop our students' oratory skills. So to improve that, we have many different methods that we have used to improve that quality of our students. For example, we have a subject called mooting, where we help students to develop their oratory skills and also analytical skills. And also the other aspects is now we have to cater the future of the legal profession, because we strongly believe that in the future, rather than going for litigation, people will definitely go for other methods of dispute resolution, like mediation and arbitration. Arbitration also has been there for some time. The mediation is getting popular. So therefore, in our program, we have introduced mediation, especially commercial mediation and family mediation, to our curriculum, because that will cater the legal profession. On top of that, also digital law also becoming a very important aspect in legal profession. So therefore, to train our students to be familiar with digital laws, we have different modules, like we have introduced like cyber security law, and also artificial intelligence law, e-commerce law. And so therefore, the program, of course, it's you have to read a lot. You have to study a lot with books and other journal articles and so many things. But at the end of the day, there are so many things other than that as well, which you can enjoy, because those are very practical things which you meet in the normal society, which you get in the normal society. When you do things with those different aspects of studying, you will enjoy your studies as well.
Right. Okay, Dr. Chatura. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, we are heading to section 4 of the panel discussion, which will be focused on career outcomes and employability. So, would like to start with Mr. Gamindu. Mr. Gamindu, you have a background in IT and tech, right? So, in IT and tech, job roles evolve rapidly. We can see that. So, how does universities like APIIT design programs for jobs that may not even exist yet? Just clarify us how you all are doing that magic.
It's a very tough question. So yes, I mean, the job of higher education is actually to predict what is useful in 4 to 5 years' time, not what is relevant right now. So, so any good curriculum actually gets developed in consultation with industry. So curricula do incorporate what industry tells us will be the the needs and wants 3 to 4 years in the future. If you take computing, it is a rapidly developing field. And see, the rapidly developing aspect of it is just constrained to the technology layer, meaning that the way we would have programmed a computer 30 years back would differ from the way we program a computer now by the kind of sophisticated hardware and software that we are using. But there is something that has remained the same. And you only need to look at successful software to see what that is. If you take, a very well used, very popular web applications or mobile apps, take Instagram. What makes that work is that it's very, very human-centered. Software is actually software development or computer solutions really aim to help people. So Chatura, you said that, if you choose a law degree, you need to be in the game of helping people. I would also think that that is very true of the IT world. See, it's a very well-known thing that lots of software projects fail because we fail to actually, or people fail to, or software teams fail to recognize what the requirements are. You don't get your requirements right, you end up with a failed solution. Simple. So the converse is when you get the requirements right, you get a good solution. How do you get the requirements right? It's a people-centric process. You need to identify what people actually need. That hasn't changed. That's what, made Xerox popular. That is what, made people move to the PC and to Apple Macs. It's the whole people-centricness of it. That hasn't changed. It will remain true. Even in the world of AI, I think now we need software engineers who would leverage things like Claude and think a little bit more about what are the moving pieces in this piece of software? How would people want to use it? That would be more of a question asked by software engineers today. The second thing that hasn't changed is developing innovative solutions, as in the way you instruct a computer. 30 years back, we would have to write 1,000 instructions. About 10 years ago, before the advent of ChatGPT, maybe that reduced 1,000-fold. Maybe something that you'd write 1,000 lines of code. 20 years ago, you can condense down to 1 line of code. Today, with AI-assisted coding, that capability becomes, you could issue 1 instruction and maybe generate quite a sophisticated piece of software. But the thinking behind what questions to ask, how to structure your solution, that hasn't changed. So, that's a very long-winded way of saying computing curricula have to, of course, address the real world. Do you use AI tools? Is probably something, you can look out for. But what makes a successful computing curricula successful is that it should give adequate opportunity for students to develop solutions, real-world solutions. That should be integral to the curriculum. I mean, we do have a module called commercial computing where students need to go out and extract a real-world problem and find a solution for that. And it also necessarily has to, incorporate usability and the human-centeredness of any kind of software solution. Are there any modules that address user experience design? So these haven't changed and are likely not to change going forward.
Right. So, Mr. Gamindu, I think your core idea is clear to the audience. Thank you very much. And moving to Dr. Hasuli. Dr. Business graduates are increasingly expected to have stacked competencies, right? So, which is like different types of skills. I think you will be agree with me. So, tell us how should students build employability beyond the coursework? Just clarify us how this happens.
Okay, so a student pursuing a degree is definitely going to get foundational level knowledge. So in this thing that we call stacked competencies, I think what we are referring to is different layers of skills and competencies that a student builds through a degree. So I think the base of that is the foundational level knowledge that the core theories, the tools, the frameworks, that is what forms, I think, the base. But beyond that, there are several competencies that students need to develop in order to be considered employable. So if we look at one of those, I think one of the most important layers is what we call transferable or human skills. Human skills is something that definitely students have to build. I mean, these are things like, communication and empathy, emotional intelligence, adaptability. These are what we call transferable skills, because regardless of any scenario, industry, situation, workplace, these are skills that are a must that students need to have. How do you get those? How do you develop those? You don't develop those just by coming to class and sitting down and listening to a lecture. You develop those by taking part in projects, working in teams, organizing various events. Doing all of those helps to build those transferable skills. And another layer in this, what we call these stacked competencies, I guess the work readiness skills. And that, like we discussed earlier, you can get through industry exposure, through internships and so on. Things like, how to be professional, a willingness to keep learning, a willingness to say you don't know something, and a willingness to even maybe admit when you're wrong. These are all part of professional behaviors and mindsets that you develop when you have gained some work exposure. So that's also critical competency that you have to build. And in addition to that, in today's world, you also have to build digital literacy. So how do you use digital tools? How do you work with technology? That's another layer of competencies that students need to develop. So, I mean, I guess it's not just the knowledge that you get from the degree. It's not just the theories and the tools. There's so many more competencies that you have to build. So my advice to students is to consider that what I tell my students usually in the first year is, consider your degree as a portfolio building process. You're not here just to get a degree, and you're not here just to get a class. And you're not here just to, finish your degree and land your first job. Your degree is meant to help you transition over multiple jobs and multiple careers over your lifetime. And these 3 years or 4 years is a crucial time period for you to build your portfolio. So what I tell them is, think of it as, building a story about yourself, who you are and what you're capable of doing. And they can only do this if they take part in or participate or contribute to a lot of different initiatives, activities, projects, and so on. This is what is going to help them build that so-called stack of competencies.
Right. So thank you, Dr. Hasuli. Actually, lovely inputs. Thank you very much. So turning towards Dr. Chatura. Doctor, career pathways in law are widening now, right? So corporate, compliance, arbitration, and international trade law. Likewise, we have a lot of doors now getting open regarding this law. So what emerging career tracks do you see law students moving forward, and what's actually the APIIT preparation for this? Just tell us.
Okay, before I answer your question, emerging career pathways, we have to talk about the traditional pathways as well, because once you qualify as a lawyer, you can practice as a lawyer, you can be a conveyancing lawyer, you can be a counsel who talks in the court, or you can do documentation part. Those are traditional ways, and also you can join the Aegis department, be a government lawyer, or you can join the corporate sector and be a legal officer. There are so many traditional things. In addition to that, you can do exams, and after becoming a lawyer, after some time you can do some exams and then become a judge. And you can work in the law enforcement authorities. There are so many options available. Now, answering to your question on emerging fields of law, now basically currently there are two emerging fields that we have noticed. First one is mediation. Because, when you have litigation or arbitration, at the end of the litigation process or arbitration process, there will be a loser, there will be a winner. But in mediation, what we do, we come to compromise. There won't be a loser, there won't be a winner as well. So it's a win-win situation for both parties, and therefore, especially in the corporate world, mediation is becoming very popular, because they should do business rather than going to court. So therefore, they always try to find easy ways to resolve their matters. As a result, mediation has been developed to that level to cater these requirements. So therefore, mediation is one emerging area in law to cater that requirement. In APIIT, we have introduced a module called Alternative Dispute Resolution. In that module, we teach arbitration and mediation, with particular emphasis on mediation, because mediation is becoming a highly demanding field. And then the second area is emerging field like technology. Now, technology is also becoming a very emerging field in law as well, because there are so many things happening in the world with technology, and whenever things are happening, there can be dispute. A dispute have to be resolved through law. So therefore, having knowledge in those IT area, also law related to IT, also very important. To develop those skills, as I mentioned earlier, we have introduced some modules like cybersecurity law, and also artificial intelligence law, and e-commerce law. So our students get experience and learn the law related to these emerging areas. I'm very happy to say APIIT is the first institution in Sri Lanka to introduce these three modules. Of course, with partnership with Staffordshire University, we were the first in Sri Lanka to introduce artificial intelligence law and cybersecurity law in Sri Lanka to LLB curriculum.
Right. So thank you very much, panel, for your meaningful insights sharing with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, we come to the end of direct questions from our panel. But we have some common questions, open questions to the panel. So I would like to have the feedback from anyone. So our question is, when it comes to the student support, we would like to hear from APIIT perspective actually. So what kind of academic and personal support is available to students? Student counseling services, career guidance? We would like to hear what actually APIIT gives us.
That's for me, Praveen, is it? Okay. So pastoral care, I think at APIIT we are very focused on student success. So the first line of support is the lecturers themselves. We do encourage all our lecturers to know the students. Our classrooms are small. It's 30 to 40 students, generally speaking. So lecturers do know the students very well, and we encourage students to approach lecturers, first of all, with any problems that they encounter. There is a mentor. For each student is assigned a mentor. So apart from all your subject lecturers, there's an additional lecturer who will be your mentor for a level of study, or maybe even throughout the entire year. So that's another person you could approach with your academic difficulties. We have a student well-being unit with trained counselors. So if there are difficulties that you face in life, at the home front, there is support available, and it's completely confidential. And there are confidential ways of approaching the counselors, and the counseling sessions are also kept confidential. So those are the primary means. We also have a industry placement unit, which is available for students this comes into play between the second year and the final year, where students seek internships. But the industry placement unit will liaise between any student and companies that they're interested in, employers that they're interested in, and if they need additional support or guidance. And this is the same unit that can reach out to our alumni as well to, get support that any student would seek. In addition, we do have an English language unit that's specifically focused on ensuring you have the English language skills that are demanded by industry and society today. So those are the primary means. We do keep a very, very close tab on, in the sense, we do believe that higher education is a student's responsibility. But we have mechanisms in place where we make sure that students don't feel alone, and that we are all on a journey together. But we do kind of encourage students to take responsibility for their lives and attend classes, engage with their lectures well. And that's the focus that we have. Have I left out anything?
All right. Thank you very much, panel. So we have one more open question to you all. We would like to understand and discuss about the extracurricular activities which APIIT is actually carrying out. So on that note, what clubs, societies to get engaged on the campus, or how can students get involved in student life outside of studies? I think that is the kind of a concept which we really need to talk about. I think APIIT is, of course, in that track. So we would like to hear from you all on that perspective as well.
So Praveen, this is a question that the two of us are going to share.
Sure.
I think when it comes to extracurricular activities, APIIT is at the forefront. Our biggest club is our student activity club. It's like the student union in government universities. They are the biggest club, and they represent the entire student body. So when they organize events, it's meant for the entire student body. As part of SAC, as we call it, they organize Tantalize every year, which is one of the biggest inter-university talent shows that we have every year at Nelumpokuna. We also organize Extravaganza, which is also again the biggest inter-university sports festival. These are the two main events that is organized by the Student Activity Club for the whole of APIIT. But there are so many other clubs that each school has, and ones that are common to the whole of APIIT. So, which is why I said we will share this answer, because Dr. Chatura can give a good idea of the kinds of extracurricular things that law students in particular are involved in. But in general, so we have the Rotaract Club, which is very strong and does a really good job in its district. The Toastmasters Club, which is also quite, it performs very well, has a lot of student members and really helps to develop students' public speaking skills. We also have, so the business school has the Entrepreneurship Club, and the School of Computing has the Full Stack Society. We have our Resolvers Club. We have so many different clubs and societies. I think the law school has its own club, so Dr. Chatura, maybe you could.
Yes, at law school we have Mood Society, where it's a student body. We organize many events in law school through that students' body. For example, we have a school debate competition happening every year. And last time we had more than 60 schools participating in the competition. And also we have a inter-university debate competition. And also our biggest event in our calendar for law school is ALSYNC, APIIT Law School International Negotiation Competition. This is an international competition where international teams can come to Sri Lanka and participate in this competition. Last time we had 27 teams participating. Out of those 27 teams, 21 teams are foreign teams. Out of those 21, 19 teams came physically to participate in Sri Lanka. And then we have fun events as well. We have like Concordia, that is to show law students' talent. And then we have AI Day celebration to celebrate the World Artificial Intelligence Day. And also with all three school participation, we have APIIT International Research Conference. It's a huge event happening every year with participation of local and foreign participants. And very recently we had our this year's event. And so there are so many things happening, and we always joke about that, because at APIIT, every day there's an event. So we'll have to participate.
Thank you very much, both. So before going to the closing advice from the panel, I would like to, because we are running out of time as well, but we have 2 to 3 minutes if the physical audience has any open questions from the panel. If not, we can go to the final, or the, I would like to say final advice from each of you. Just take 1 minute each and just tell us what is the final message or the advice that you all have to give to our audience and the students all around Sri Lanka as a kind of a trusted education partner in Sri Lanka, which has built a long-term credibility over Sri Lanka. So just take 1 minute from each of you. Just tell us what is your final message to our audience.
Higher education is a very, very important decision. Don't take it lightly. Where you do your first degree is something that you can't divorce yourself from. So give it that necessary thought, and give it that, take the trouble that it deserves, because it is a very, very important part of your life that will set the stage for the rest of your life as well. And it's going to be a very, very exciting time period for you. There are loads of options available. Please do explore. Have plenty of conversations with, the people who can actually give you answers to your questions. Meet the teachers, meet the lecturers, ask them questions. And, the futures will have an immense number of options available to you. Please don't worry about your next job. Look at higher education as a means of self-discovery. Discover what you love, discover what you're good at, discover, what hard work is. It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's an exciting time in your life. So, give that due consideration before you embark on your higher education journey. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gamindu. Yeah, Dr. Hasuli, we would like to hear from you also.
Yeah, I pretty much have nothing to add after that. I guess I would say, I mean, looking back at my experience and what I see kids, I mean, young adults facing today, like Gamindu said, it's probably the most important decision that you could make. It's a turning point also in your life. I think I would like everyone to take their time to explore their options and not just do what their friends are doing and not just to join where their friends are joining, because I see that a lot. You know, I joined here because my friends are here, and they really didn't have an idea of what they actually wanted to do. So don't follow the herd. You're not a sheep. You need to take some time to kind of figure out what you want to do. I mean, looking back, you will realize that university is probably after school the best 3 or 4 years of your life. And you want to make sure that it is worth your time as well. So it's a decision that has to be taken very carefully.
Thank you very much.
Okay, from my perspective, what I feel is, that now anybody wants to think about higher education, first thing that they should look for is the quality. Check wherever you're going to study, whether it's a quality institution, first thing. Second one, check whether this institution has industry recognition, what the profession says, what the world says about that particular institution. Think about those two. And the third thing that I want is, that I strongly believe, and I always tell my students, when you are doing an undergraduate degree, that particular time period is the most beautiful time period of your life. Because once you complete your degree, you have to face the reality of the world and work, marriage, kids, and so many other things. But while you are doing undergraduate, you have so much freedom. And therefore, whatever you do, whatever the field that you choose, while you are studying, please do enjoy. That's my last message.
All right. Thank you very much, panelists. So a very big thank you to all the panelists. And on behalf of entire EDEX team, I would like to express our deepest gratitude engaged with our panel discussion and spending your valuable time. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank for the online audience as well as physical audience. Thank you for being part of this insightful discussion. And just keep in mind, choosing your higher education pathway is not about what others want. It is about what fits you. I think APIIT is there for you all, because from EDEX perspective also, we believe that if the education and leadership can be fixed, 99% of the questions or problems in Sri Lanka is over. So APIIT is there, and doors are open for everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, don't rush, don't follow the crowd, take your time, ask questions, explore options, and choose the path that feels right for your future itself. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of EDEX. Thank you very much.